In the latest twists of ABC General Hospital, the professional partnership between Jocelyn Jacks and Vaughn deepens as they work together on increasingly dangerous WASB missions. What begins as a by-the-book working relationship evolves into something far more complex, drawing them closer with each assignment. Despite Carly Spencer's clear disapproval of her daughter's involvement with the mysterious WASB operative, Joss finds herself determined to understand Vaughn on a deeper level. However, a discovery looms that will shake the foundations of everything Joss believes about her new partner and about her tragic past. A professional relationship becomes personal. The mission assignments keep coming, and with each one, Joss and Vaughn grow more reliant on each other. What started as a carefully maintained professional distance has begun to crack under the pressure of their high-stakes work. Their collaboration on multiple WSB operations has forced them into increasingly intimate situations, strategizing in safe houses, covering for each other in the field, and sharing the kind of trust that only comes from risking your life together. When Joss returns to Port Charles between missions, Carly immediately senses something is different about her daughter. Carly has always been protective, and her maternal instincts kick into overdrive when she learns more about Vaughn's involvement in Joss's life. "I don't like this, Joss. I don't like you getting mixed up with this man," Carly says one evening at home, her voice firm with concern. Joss sighs, unable to reveal the full truth about her WSB career. "Mom, Vaughn is he's someone I work with. That's all. He's someone I don't know. And that concerns me," Carly replies, crossing her arms. "You're my daughter, and I need to know who you're spending your time with." The tension between mother and daughter reflects a larger conflict. Carly's disapproval doesn't deter Joss, however. Instead, it fuels her curiosity about Vaughn, making her want to understand him better to prove to her mother that her judgment about him is wrong. The mission continues. Despite Carly's warnings, Joss volunteers for every assignment that pairs her with Vaughn. Whether it's infiltrating a suspect's inner circle, gathering intelligence at high-stakes locations, or running surveillance operations, the two work seamlessly together. Their chemistry in the field is undeniable, and even their WSB handler notices how perfectly they complement each other's skill sets. On one particular mission, they're posing as a couple at an upscale resort cover that requires them to act as though they're comfortable in each other's space. The lines between performance and reality begin to blur as the days wear on. Quiet dinners on balconies overlooking the sea, hushed conversations in hotel corridors, and the gentle brush of hands as they pass information back and forth, all of it serves to strengthen their bond. Vaughn finds himself drawn to Joss's determination and quick thinking. She's fearless, but calculated, willing to take risks, but not reckless ones. There's an intelligence in her eyes, a depth that he finds magnetic. "You're different," Vaughn tells her one evening, his voice low. "From other agents, I mean. There's something about you that makes you natural at this." Joss feels a flutter in her chest at his words. She's spent so long trying to prove herself to Carly, to prove she's more than just a grieving girl mourning her lost boyfriend. Vaughn sees her strength without needing explanation. He sees who she really is. A question takes shape. As Joss gets to know Vaughn through their work together, she begins asking him personal questions, details about his background, his family, where he comes from. Vaughn is typically guarded about such matters, but Joss's persistent curiosity gradually wears through his defenses. One afternoon, during a debrief after a successful mission, Joss presses him again. "Tell me something real about you, Vaughn. Something that isn't in a file or a briefing report." Vaughn hesitates, then allows a small smile. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Joss says simply. "Where did you grow up? Do you have family? How did you get involved with the WSB in the first place?" He begins to open up, sharing fragments of his past. He mentions growing up in a complicated family situation, mentions brothers he hadn't been close to, describes a life that was chaotic before the structure and purpose of the WSB gave him direction. Joss listens intently, filing away each detail, each revelation. She finds herself caring about his story, about the man beneath the spy persona. There's a vulnerability to Vaughn that contrasts sharply with his competence in the field. The revelation that changes everything. Then comes the mission that will alter everything. During what should be a routine intelligence gathering assignment, Joss gains access to classified WSB files that contain background information on all active agents, including Vaughn. Out of curiosity and something that feels like professional diligence, she pulls his complete file. What she discovers stops her cold. Buried in Vaughn's background information is a family tree, genealogical data compiled during his initial WSB vetting process. And there, clearly documented, is the connection that neither Vaughn nor Dex before his death had ever known about. Vaughn is Dex's biological brother, not a brother Dex grew up with, not one of the siblings he'd mentioned in passing, but a full brother, a brother separated by circumstance, by distance, by a father who had apparently lived a secret life of infidelity. The two men shared blood, shared genetics, and neither had ever been aware of the other's existence. Joss stares at the screen, her hands trembling. All those moments with Dex, all those conversations where he'd mentioned his complicated family situation he never knew. And Vaughn, the man she's been growing closer to with each passing mission, never knew either. The implications crashed down on her like a wave. Processing the impossible, Joss finds herself spiraling. She's been drawn to Vaughn, has felt the stirrings of genuine affection for him, and now she discovers he's connected to the man she loved and lost. Dex had been her first real love in Port Charles, the person who understood her in a way no one else could. His death devastated her, sent her into the arms of the WSB seeking purpose and a way to channel her grief. And now, working alongside his brother, a brother neither of them knew existed, the emotions become unbearably complicated. Joss debates whether to tell Vaughn what she's discovered. Part of her wants to confront him immediately, to explain the connection, to process this revelation together. But another part of her fears what will happen if she does. Will it change how Vaughn sees her? Will it complicate their missions? Will it derail whatever is developing between them? She also wonders how to tell Carly, and how her mother will react to this new wrinkle in an already complicated situation. Carly already disapproves of Vaughn. How will she feel knowing he's connected to Dex? The truth must surface. Ultimately, Joss realizes she cannot keep this discovery to herself. The integrity that made her perfect WASB material also compels her toward honesty, even when the truth is painful. She arranges a private meeting with Vaughn, away from prying eyes and recording devices. When she tells him, his reaction is visceral. Shock, confusion, a tumult of emotions washing across his face. "What are you saying?" he asks, his voice strained. "You're telling me that the Dex you mentioned, the one you grieved, was my brother? My actual brother?" "I'm saying the files confirm it," Joss replies quietly. "You share the same father. Neither of you ever knew." Vaughn sits in stunned silence, processing. "So when you were with him, when he was in your life, my brother was here, and I didn't even know he existed." It's a moment heavy with regret and complicated emotion. Vaughn never had the chance to know his brother, to build a relationship with him, to even acknowledge the connection. And now he's gone. A new understanding. In the aftermath of this revelation, Joss and Vaughn's relationship takes on new dimensions. The attraction that had been building between them doesn't disappear, but it transforms. It becomes something deeper, a shared grief, a connection forged not just through danger and desire, but through a profound loss that links them to the same person. Vaughn finally understands why Joss sometimes looks at him with a complicated expression, why she's so interested in his background, why there's a bittersweet quality to their conversations. She's been living with the knowledge of this connection, and now she's watching him process it for the first time. "I'm sorry," Joss tells him. "I should have told you sooner." "No," Vaughn replies, shaking his head. "Thank you for telling me at all. I have a brother I never knew. Had a brother. I need to understand what that means." As they navigate this new reality together, Joss realizes that her original mission to understand Vaughn better has been completed in ways she never anticipated. She understands not just the man he is, but the connections that define him, the losses that shaped him, and the unexpected threads that bind him to her own story. And Carly, when she eventually learns the truth not just about Joss's WSB career, but about the revelation connecting Vaughn to Dex, will find her disapproval complicated by the strange and tragic nature of fate and family in Port Charles. Next, we will dive deep into the mysterious and terrifying events unfolding at Wyndemere, where darkness lurks behind every corner and danger hides in plain sight. The legendary Casa Dini estate, long known for its Gothic architecture and sinister history, is about to write its most chilling chapter, yet as Lucas Jones settles into what he believes is his new dream home, completely unaware that he's stepping into a labyrinth of deception where every shadow whispers secrets of murder and every locked door guards evidence of atrocities that could silence him forever. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Wyndemere is transforming from a mere mansion into a living nightmare, a house of horrors that will test the limits of Lucas's sanity and survival instincts. This isn't just another storyline about a newcomer adjusting to mansion life. This is a psychological thriller wrapped in the opulent trappings of Port Charles aristocracy, where the champagne flows as freely as the blood stains are scrubbed from the Persian rugs. The very foundations of this estate seem to pulse with malevolent energy, and as Lucas unpacks his belongings and hangs his clothes in closets that have witnessed decades of Casa Dini villainy, he remains blissfully ignorant of the fact that he's sharing his home with a predator who views human life as a disposable inconvenience. The walls themselves seem to breathe with the ghosts of victims past, and the candlelit corridors cast dancing shadows that mock Lucas's naive trust in his charming new landlord. In an exclusive interview with Soap Opera Digest, Van Hansis pulled back the curtain on Lucas's dangerously optimistic mindset as he embarks on this fateful living arrangement, revealing layers of vulnerability and willful blindness that make him the perfect unwitting accomplice to Sidwell's machinations. Hansis explained that Lucas enters this situation carrying the weight of his past traumas and desperate desire for stability, making him particularly susceptible to the kind of sophisticated manipulation Sidwell specializes in. Lucas has been through so much heartbreak and betrayal already, Hansis shared, his voice tinged with the character's trademark vulnerability. He's looking for a sanctuary, a place where he can finally feel safe to love Marco openly and build something real. When someone like Sidwell offers him that refuge, wrapped in old-world charm and British sophistication, Lucas's normally sharp instincts get dulled by hope. The actor emphasized that Lucas isn't foolish, he's human, and humans have an incredible capacity to believe what they desperately need to be true, even when every warning sign flashes crimson. Any concerns Lucas might have harbored about sharing a roof with the enigmatic and dangerous Jen Sidwell will evaporate like morning mist under the heat of Sidwell's calculated charisma, a weapon more lethal than any dagger hidden in the mansion's secret passages. Hansis illuminated this dynamic with striking clarity. I love that he's charming, and I can see how Lucas's suspicions about him are kind of erased because, here's this charming British dude, offering him tea and crumpets, and everything seems good. The actor's laughter during the interview revealed the tragic irony of Lucas's situation. He's being disarmed not with threats, but with the exact comforts of home he's been craving. Sidwell doesn't just offer tea, he offers acceptance, he offers protection, he offers the kind of paternal approval that Lucas has rarely received from his own fractured family. Every polite conversation, every perfectly timed compliment, every thoughtful gesture serves as another brick in the psychological prison Sidwell is constructing around Lucas, making him question his own instincts until he can no longer distinguish between genuine kindness and deadly manipulation. Thanks to Pascal and his disturbingly efficient cleanup effort, Sidwell successfully erased every trace of Professor Henry Hank Dalton's violent demise, transforming what should have been a crime scene into just another tastefully decorated study where Lucas might someday sip brandy and discuss literature with his host. The speed and thoroughness of this cover-up operation reveal the depth of Sidwell's criminal infrastructure. This isn't a man who panics after committing murder. This is a professional who treats homicide as a minor inconvenience requiring routine maintenance. Hansis noted the chilling implications. Sidwell left no bloody Professor Henry Hank Dalton trail behind. It's clear that when it comes to his crimes, Sidwell wants to keep covering his tracks and convince Lucas everything is just peachy. The actor hinted that Lucas might occasionally notice something slightly amiss: a missing rug, a fresh paint smell in a room that shouldn't have been painted, a servant who seems overly nervous when cleaning a particular spot on the hardwood floor. But Sidwell's ready explanations, delivered with that disarming British calm, immediately put Lucas's mind at ease. The mansion staff moves with the practiced efficiency of people who have cleaned up death before, their eyes downcast, their hands steady, their silence purchased at a high price. Hansis confirmed that Lucas remains completely oblivious to the true depth of Sidwell's latest shady activities, even joking darkly that Lucas probably thinks he's living in the Love Island mansion, a naive fantasy that makes his eventual awakening all the more devastating. The character's willful ignorance isn't born of stupidity, but of strategic emotional investment. Lucas has already decided this arrangement must work, so his brain filters out any information that contradicts that narrative. He's falling deeply for Marco Rios, and that love has become the lens through which he views everything at Wyndemere, tinting even the darkest shadows with rosy optimism. Marco's presence acts as a powerful sedative to Lucas's natural wariness, making him more inclined to explain away odd noises at midnight as old house settling, to dismiss locked west wings as merely private quarters, and to accept sudden business trips as normal for a man of Sidwell's stature. This psychological phenomenon, known as confirmation bias, has become Lucas's greatest vulnerability, turning him into his own jailer. Since Lucas is absolutely crazy about Marco Rios and desperately wants this unconventional living arrangement to succeed for the sake of their budding romance, he's systematically ignoring the warnings of naysayers like Carly Corinthos, who has tried repeatedly to shake him from his dangerous complacency. Carly's protective instincts, honed by decades of surviving Port Charles's deadliest threats, recognize the predatory stillness in Sidwell's demeanor. But her urgent warnings bounce off Lucas like arrows against castle walls. Lucas would much rather pour his energy into exploring his intense feelings for Marco and leaning on the seemingly supportive guidance he's receiving from Ava Jerome, who has positioned herself as his ally in this treacherous new chapter. Ava's involvement adds another layer of complexity. Her own history with dangerous men and moral ambiguity makes her either the perfect mentor or the worst possible influence. And Hansis teased that Ava's motivations might not be as pure as Lucas believes. Ava sees something of herself in Lucas's situation, the actor suggested cryptically. She understands what it means to love someone dangerous, to compromise yourself for passion. Whether she's helping Lucas avoid her mistakes or setting him up to repeat them remains to be seen. However, General Hospital spoilers strongly indicate that Lucas may not be able to bury his head in the sand for much longer, as the mansion itself seems determined to reveal its secrets to anyone brave or foolish enough to listen. The ancient estate, with its hidden passages and century-old architecture, becomes almost a character in its own right, groaning with the weight of concealed crimes and whispering clues through its very structure. It turns out this seemingly rash move and decision will trigger a cascade of unsettling developments that will shatter Lucas's carefully constructed fantasy. And Hansis dropped a tantalizing hint about what's brewing beneath Wyndemere's polished surface. Coming up, some weird stuff starts to happen, Hansis admitted, his deliberate pause speaking volumes about the bizarre and potentially supernatural events on the horizon. The actor's cryptic delivery suggests these won't be minor oddities like flickering lights or creaking floorboards, but genuinely disturbing phenomena that defy rational explanation and hint at the malevolent history soaked into the mansion's stones. The phrase weird stuff barely scratches the surface of the paranormal and psychological warfare about to descend upon Lucas as Wyndemere indeed transforms into the house of horrors we ominously predicted. where reality becomes fluid and trust becomes a liability. Lucas, despite his recent emotional vulnerability, is fundamentally a smart and perceptive man when he chooses to engage his intellect. And he may soon realize he's been actively digging his own grave with every dismissed suspicion and every rationalized anomaly. The character's medical background gives him a scientific mind that, once fully activated, will begin connecting dots that Sidwell has meticulously tried to keep scattered. If Lucas accidentally witnesses something he was never meant to see, perhaps Pascal disposing of incriminating evidence, or Marco engaging in a secretive conversation with his father about handling the Lucas problem, he'll instantly transform from welcomed guest to dangerous liability in Sidwell's cold calculation. The charming British gentleman will vanish, replaced by the ruthless criminal who views human obstacles as problems requiring permanent solutions. It's become painfully clear that regardless of how deeply Marco truly feels about Lucas, Sidwell operates under a code where sentimentality is weakness and family loyalty trumps romantic attachment every time. Marco's love, whether genuine or feigned, provides Lucas no real protection against his father's lethal pragmatism. Sidwell has already demonstrated his willingness to wipe his son's love interest off the map if Lucas becomes inconvenient, a threat that hangs over every interaction like an invisible guillotine blade. That's why when this weird stuff begins manifesting, perhaps as mysterious bloodstains that reappear after cleaning, or ghostly whispers in the North Tower that speak of betrayal and murder, it could lead Lucas straight into the danger zone, where one wrong step means permanent disappearance. The mansion's supernatural energy might be trying to warn him, or it might be Sidwell's psychological warfare designed to make Lucas question his own sanity until he's too unstable to pose a threat. Lucas may find himself irresistibly drawn to explore the clearly off-limits wings of Wyndemere, where heavy oak doors remain locked at all times and the staff averts their eyes when questioned about what lies beyond. These forbidden corridors, lined with ancestral portraits whose eyes seem to follow intruders, may contain archives of Casa Dini crimes, secret laboratories, or even worse, the remains of Sidwell's previous problems. General Hospital spoilers suggest that some true mansion mayhem may be on the way, bringing troubling news for Lucas that will force him to confront whether his love for Marco is worth his life. The preview material indicates that upcoming episodes will feature Lucas discovering something so incendiary in those sealed chambers that it cannot be unseen or unknown. A revelation that will pit him against not just Sidwell, but potentially the entire criminal network the British mogul commands. We'll bring you explosive updates on all the drama as Lucas Jones learns that in Port Charles, the deadliest predators don't hide in shadows, they serve you tea in crystal cups while planning your funeral.